Hello, everybody. Hope you're doing well. In this lecture, we're going to look at Chapter 7 of Global Strategic Management and look at entry strategies. These are ways that multinational companies consider or take advantage of or use as vehicles to go into new markets and new countries. So we'll have a look at that. One thing we look at is there. Traditionally speaking, when you talked about companies working or going to new markets and new countries, there was the idea of this first mover advantage. And the first mover advantage is very real, and you see it a lot in all sorts of businesses, particularly new digital-based companies or things that are, there is an advantage being a first mover. There are also disadvantages we'll look at too, but there are some advantages. For example, they have clear early advantage. If you first go in when you come into a new country or a new market, and you're the first one in with a new product, like the first one to introduce washing machines into some place, then you have a lot of benefits to that because anybody that wants one has to get it from you. You can establish your brand. Your pricing is very scalable. You can decide, I'm going to attack the very top market first and put my price up high and slowly bring my pricing down as I saturate each level of the market till it becomes, I can really keep on getting more and more and make the most I can at each level. And you tend to block the other entrants from coming in because people say, I want to buy that one. It's established first, and you start learning the market and you start with this initial market share that can be difficult to overcome. The followers do have advantages too, though, and a follower they may not establish their brand as well, but they avoid a lot of the mistakes that were made by the first mover. They take a look at it and say what went right, what went wrong, rather than hit the washing market with this kind. Maybe it was too big or too small, not enough capacity, too much capacity, use up too much energy, or there's plentiful energy. So the follower can say, I'm going to go right after that. I know where the pricing is, I know what the price point is. What they do is, of course, miss the people that already bought a washing machine and have to wait until they want to buy another one to get it. So a follower has a lot of advantage, but maybe has a disadvantage in terms of that first wave of purchases that can go in there. But they do capitalize on the blind spots and they ride on those efforts. And then the acquire advantage of people who are coming in and say, I see these guys, they've done great, I'm just going to buy them. I avoid all the initial hassle, risk taking. I know exactly where the market is. I've got a few years here of P&L. I can see where all where the ins and outs of the flows of cash are. The distribution network is in place, etc. So acquiring that is a pretty low risk, maybe not as high reward because they missed that big upswing. But the concept is that I know that I'm buying a mature business that I can continue to operate. This is a similar slide that we looked at before on the resources of competitive advantage. Again, take a look at that. It's very valid. You see the different types of competitive advantage from resources, assets, and competencies, where they fall in R&D, etc. But I'm not going to read all those things to you. But please do look at that on slide 3 and see where the competitive advantage comes from. There are different forms that companies use to go into a country or a new market. They are usually a wholly owned subsidiary, acquisition, a joint venture, agent, distributor, rep office, or license or franchise. And these are all valid depending on the situation of the company and the situation of the market they want to enter and all the aspects of that environment. They have different benefits, cost, feasibility, and risk. It's a strategic decision. And they have, frankly, different benefits and downsides, and let's look at those real quickly. Now, when you're a wholly owned subsidiary, you got your main thing is you have control over operations. Everything that happens, the company can control in that new market. They make all the money. They have all the cost. They have all the benefits and all the downside, but at least they have control. They can decide how it's going to work. When they have an acquisition, you can take the benefits of the wholly owned subsidiary, and also you can do quicker because you don't have to build whatever you need. If there's someone already there, another company already there, doing what you want to do, you can buy them, add things to it, tweak it a bit, but you immediately start doing business once the target is found, and you'd go through the purchase process, which does always take time, but it's quicker than trying to go in and build your own infrastructure and go through all the elements of that. A joint venture is often required by the host country, where a partner choice, because they might not want foreign companies to come in and take over a certain part of the market for any number of reasons, because of maybe they feel that they want to benefit their own industries. Maybe they think they're going to lose control over certain vital things. Maybe even for their self-sufficiency or self-interest, or maybe even for defense. Maybe for militarily, they don't think it's right for foreign companies to own certain aspects, or they just want to do it because they want to protect their own industries. Or maybe what often happens, they say, well, we'll take your technology, we'll take your investment, but we want to have our side in there as well, and then over time we'll have that technology, we'll have that investment, and that's really actually the case. It's a good way to take over somebody else's R&D expend, and really sometimes the company doing it. Why do they do that? Well, they're so greedy to get that market that they are blinded by the fact that they're going to lose control and hand over the technology. It happens all the time. But sometimes it's required, and then you really have to be sure you find the right partner. It's not easy. We'll see in the next couple of lectures that these type of things, the joint ventures, don't work out very well. Usually they fail over time, and for a lot of reasons we'll cover later on. It's very difficult to maintain that kind of relationship when it's based on fundamentally different agendas and fundamentally different goals and objectives for what you call success. The joint venture partner locally, his success may be to take you over to acquire your technology, and yours is to, might be to make money and hope you have an honest partner and a good partner, but it doesn't always work out that way. The agent, distributor, rep office route are interesting because they're usually low-cost first steps. They're sales focused. The agent or distributor is distributing your goods. It's not a big infrastructure cost. Rep office, the same thing. They will have almost always legislative guidelines where they're not allowed to perform certain duties as agents, distributors, rep office for your company. However, the ones they can do may be exactly what you want in terms of sales. They may be able to be the front person for your wholesale effort, and with usually a very low cost. They usually have an office, a structure. A distributor might have more, like if you're a tractor distributor in Latin America for John Deere, you may have a big lot, but you don't have to build them, and you don't have to run all that risk of manufacturing, etc. You get them shipped to you, you sell them, you split the money, and those things can work very well for years and years and years. They solve a lot of issues. A U.S.-based or any country-based manufacturer may never really want to get down and dirty into what's going on locally in certain countries for their equipment. They think, I just want to make that one sale to my distributor. That's all I need. I've got a good guy down there. He's a good company I've had for years. I really trust them. They can make as much. I'm happy they make money. We make what we think we should make. They make that, and everybody's happy. The licensing and franchising are similar. They often use it with older technology and where physical presence is just not permitted. So you can license your business or franchise your business with great partners. Again, then your goals are more in alignment because the licensee or the franchisee, they're willing to take all those local risks and make that money and do what they can to make it work. Where all you are trying to do is get paid for your license, for your franchise, and that's exactly to everybody's understanding, and it's in alignment with the goals are different, but they're not contradictory. So anyway, that's it for those, and I think that you will in the next couple lectures you'll see quite a bit more on how those things work and some of the downsides to that. But that's really the main thing, is to realize that, dependent upon your own situation and the host country situation or the different market situation, what's required by regulations, what's permissible, and what you are willing and your risk appetite and your time you have will affect the way you want to go into these countries. They're all valid. They all can be good, but they clearly have their high end and low end potential and potential difficulty that is inherent in the structure. So hope that makes sense to you, and we'll be talking soon. Thanks a lot.